4.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're going to watch this show on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, always remember the show is free. Never forget how much I appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly game. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, so UCLA Bruins, they like to say, 4's up, or whatever that means. Hey, if you golf and you take a bad shot, you get to ask for a mulligan. You yell 4 when you're hitting it off the tee. People are ducking, making sure they're not getting hit by that crappy shot you just took. Kyle Ford, wide receiver. Remember him? Trojan. He likes to golf in his spare time, and he took a big swing and a miss. That happened last year when he decided to leave the good guys and go play for the dark side. Well, he's back, and he's going to play wide receiver for USC one more year, one more time. He announced via social media. This is how he decided he was going to come back. My fault. I was tripping. I'm sorry. That is one of the best apologies ever. I probably should have used that in the past with my ex. She maybe I would still be around with her. Who knows? But yeah, my fault. I was tripping. Shouldn't have done that. My bad. I've known Kyle ever since he was a senior at Orange Lutheran High School. Great young man. He has a really good self-deprecating sense of humor. I think that's why I like him. Remember my Locked On USC listeners? Kyle was hanging around USC spring camp, first week, right? Second week, maybe. Early spring camp. And he came over and said hello. And before he went inside, and I asked him, I said, hey, are you asking for a mulligan? What are you coming back for? And he's like, didn't really answer, kind of sheepish, but walked on in. Look, everyone is allowed a do-over, right? So that's why he's back. And I know there's a bunch of you out there that aren't that enthusiastic about his return. Get over it. Come on. I think a lot of the fans out there who are, no, once you become a Bruin, you can't come back. I think a lot of that's just based in being, based in anonymity. Being on the message board, you can be anonymous, speak your piece without knowing you're going to ever have to say it to him face to face. Look, get over it. He's coming back. He's obviously been vetted by the team and the coaching staff. And look, Kyle, he can fill multiple roles. He can play on the outside wide receiver, right? I really doubt that Jacoby Lane or Deuce Robinson are going to feel threatened by Kyle Ford returning. Kyron Hudson, Jaden Richardson, the transfer, they're not afraid of Kyle. Look, he can play inside. Hear me out. I'm not talking about taking over the slot where, Zachariah Branch or Mekhi Lemon or Xavier Jordan. Don't forget Josiah Zamora. Keep an eye on that young man. But I think Kyle, you can slide him inside of maybe that Y position, maybe a little bit of a tight end, a hybrid role. Maybe line him up in the backfield as an H-back. He has that body style, right? He can create mismatches. He actually kind of reminds me of a mini-me version of Alex Holmes. I don't know why. He just does. It's the whole body style. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Anyhow, here's another thing. He knows the offense, right? He knows the guys already on the team. There's no getting adjusted to everybody. He's good friends with your quarterback, Miller Moss. This all really makes sense for him to come back. Here's a fun fact. He's got more receptions wearing a USC uniform than anybody else wearing a USC uniform. In 2022, he had his career best, 20 catches, 365 yards, 2 touchdowns. Here's how I would use him. I would use him in that hybrid wide receiver tight end role. Lake McCree is out. I anticipate him being back in the fall. Hopefully he'll be ready when fall camp opens up. Joey Olsen is a true freshman. We saw a little bit of him playing tight end in the spring game. He needs to be ready to play tight end this year. There's no doubt about it. Assuming Lake McCree is ready, Joey needs to be ready as well. You got that H-back tight end role, maybe the Y spot, Carson Tabarachi. He wasn't even around for the spring game. That's usually not a positive sign. Hopefully he'll be ready to play this year. I don't know anything. CJ Woods, Cade Eldridge, those are your other true tight ends on the roster. Coming in the summer, you've got Walter Matthews. You've got Walker Lyons. Again, 2 more true tight ends. Great size, added depth. Bayhawk bowler on the offense. But again, Kyle, he's already got that knowledge in his golf bag. He's already got that teed up. Remember, he's been here before. And look, USC needs a couple of wide receivers out of the transfer portal. One who can maybe play inside, another on the outside. So let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Someone who could do both. I think I just made the case. I said this on the Inside the Trojan Huddle podcast, and I said it on Locked on USC. Maybe the reason why everyone is a little twisted about Kyle Ford coming back is maybe it's the timing of it. USC needs big-time help on the offensive line, offensive tackle specifically, on the defensive line, defensive tackle specifically. So far, USC has addressed the nickelback position. I told you about Greedy Vance, his commitment on yesterday's episode. And now you've got, another wide receiver, at least from an optics point of view, from that standpoint, not a huge priority. So maybe that's why they see Kyle Ford coming in. It's like, you know what? It's kind of a secondary addition. Maybe if the offensive tackle and the defensive tackle positions, maybe if those commitments were happening right away, no one would care as much with all this negativity. And maybe I'm overplaying it, the negative blowback. Kyle, if you're listening, don't listen to that noise. Everybody's going to love it when you make that first catch for USC. And look, I have to think that Lincoln Riley's bringing him back, for a specific role. I can turn the blind eye to that trash talking when he joined the Bruins. So please, everyone, stop with your pearl clutching, all right? It's fake. I don't believe you. If anybody needs to make Kyle, eat his words, his teammates will take care of it. Coach Riley's not going to bring anybody into that locker room to mess with that vibe that he's totally loving right now, right? So USC got the wide receiver. And, like I said, it might be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Where are we at now with numbers? 9 wide receivers? You throw Josiah Zamora into the mix, 10. You got Corey, another small guy who can play in the slot. Maybe another guy out there. But again, I think you can play a couple of roles with Kyle Ford. I like the addition. We're going to continue talking about the transfer portal in the next segment. This whole show is about the transfer portal. So stay tuned. First, we got to do this. Excuse me. It's playoff time in the NBA. Laker fans, how you feeling? The NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots, home runs, slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and really easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit fanduel.com/locked on and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft is available now. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear with who your local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. There's a lot of ons. So we got the nickel spot taken care of. I told you about Greedy Vance. We got the wide receiver spot handled. Just told you about Kyle Ford. He's a Trojan again. Welcome back, Kyle. And I'm not saying that the staff is done with those two positions, but they're also not the positions that you guys are tuning in for right now, right? You want to hear who's USC going to get at offensive tackle. Who's USC going to get at defensive tackle? That's who you're hyper-focused on right now. Well, let's talk about it. Another scholarship opened up at USC. And it's coming from the offensive line room, of all places, right? Cooper Lovelace, one of my favorite guys on the team. Going to miss you, Cooper. He's jumped into the transfer portal. I actually mentioned his name on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC. My everydayers, they heard me say it. I thought, you know what? He can be one of those versatile guys moving around, can play tackle, can play inside. Well, he's not going to be playing at USC. So now the O-line room, it's lighter. It's younger than what I talked about just 24 hours ago. So let's get into the transfer portal. And who are some of the guys who want to work in the trenches for USC? Here are some names that USC is chasing. Right? They have an open run from. This one was broken. This news came from Creative Selection Process. Heard about it online. But Miami Hurricanes defensive tackle Jared Harrison Hunt, 6'4", 285 pounds. All right. So he started 11 games in 2023 for the University of Miami. And he finished third with 26 tackles, 3 TFLs, and 2 sacks. Not bad. Excuse me, he finished the year. That wasn't third on their team, but that's what he finished with. And WeAreSC.com has confirmed that Eric Henderson would like to have him on the team. So we'll see what happens. Apparently, USC was going after Jay Toya, the UCLA Bruin, but he decided he's going to stay at UCLA. So I guess the money that the Bruins collective was able to come up with was more important than playing for his former defensive coordinator who helped shape Jay Toya, Antonlynn. And apparently the money was good enough that he doesn't want to get coached up by Eric Henderson before Toya tests the NFL market in the next NFL draft. So who's next up? I'll be honest with you, I'm not that upset about that. I like the size of this next guy who USC has offered. And you could probably get him closer to 300 pounds by the time fall camp rolls around. Right now, he's 6'3". He's 290 pounds. He's from Michigan State. His name is Simeon Barrow. Now, this young man, he's been tempting the transfer portal for a while, right? Last year, he was going to get into it. He changed his mind a few days later. Well, he's flipped his mind again. Before the Spartans played their spring game last weekend, he decided to jump into the transfer portal. Good news for USC, if USC can get him, right? He spent 4 years in East Lansing, Michigan, including his red shirt freshman year. After that, in 3 years, he made 34 game appearances. He started 30 times, so he's got good experience. He has 110 career tackles, 18 and a half tackles for loss, 10 and a half sacks, 2 blocked field goals, 1 pass breakup, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery, and a partridge in a pear tree. He's got some nice little accolades on his resume. That's somebody I think USC would want. He's got one of those bodies it's versatile. It's the type of body that Lynn talked about, someone who can stay on the field regardless of the down and distance, so he can play outside, maybe move him inside. That's something that Coach Lynn likes. I think that's a take. So now, if you can get Barrow, you better be able to get his teammate, because this is a more bigger need, literally and figuratively speaking. True inside nose tackle guy, someone you just want to line up over the ball right next door to Bear Alexander, right next door to Nate Clifton. If Anthony Lucas is on the field, same thing. His name is Derek Harmon, 6'5", 320 pounds. That's SEC size body, right? Get him to USC. He's been with Michigan State since 2021. He still, by the way, and he still has a redshirt season, from the way I understand this. He's played in 25 games. He's got 71 total tackles. 6.5 of those are for a loss, 3.5 sacks. That's a nose tackle. Get him in the middle of the line, take up space. Let everybody else do that. Let everybody else get the stats. You do the dirty work. Again, that's the guy I think USC really needs to go get. I've also been pretty clear, since we're talking about the tackle position, that Coach Riley's been very clear as well. They need help on the offensive line, specifically at that tackle position. Now, rhetorical question. Did Coach Riley and Coach Josh Henson, did they tip their hand? The type of guy, we're going to talk about 2 guys here. The type of guy that they want. Let me remind everybody, here's your 2 deep right now on USC's roster at offensive tackle. First team, left tackle Elijah Page, right tackle Mason Murphy. Behind them, left tackle Justin Ta'uanu, right tackle Tobias Raymond. Okay. On Tuesday evening, USC offered from the University of Maine offensive line transfer Xavier Lozawicki, 6'6", 300 pounds. When he entered the transfer portal, right? He actually entered the transfer portal Monday morning. Here's who was waiting for him: University of Cincinnati, UMass, and Austin Peay. Let's go P. That was his first to offer. That's not the most inspiring list, right? Okay. Since then, and besides USC, he's also gotten offers now from BYU, South Florida, as well as West Virginia. USC, obviously, the highlight, right? Let me put the positive spin on this for everybody who's thinking, well, who is this guy? Again, 6'6", 300 pounds, freshman. Redshirt freshman last season at University of Maine. He was one of the top tackles in the FCS level, football championship system, subdivision, where they have the real playoffs, right? According to PFF, he was the best pass blocking tackle in the FCS, and by a wide margin. He had nearly a perfect pass blocking grade, 98.5. Did that on 166 snaps. The next best grade, 92.4. And he also had the best run blocking grade among Maine's offensive linemen. So, technically proficient, fundamentally sound, right? That's a positive. Here's another positive. He's got 3 more years of eligibility. Notice how I did 3, I didn't do the 4s up. So he's not just going to come in, leave after this season. This is a good addition. He's a guy you can develop. He's a native of Ridgely Park, Pennsylvania. Okay. He went to IMG Academy. That's one of the nation's top high school football programs. It's a sports prep academy. That's what you go there for, to get better at your craft. You're thinking, well, Maine. The last guy USC brought in from Maine, he did pretty good. He did okay. Remember his name? Lopa Tatupu, played linebacker. Helped USC win a national championship against Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. Yeah. Don't turn your nose up because he went to Maine. I think this is a really good addition if he takes USC's offer. But what about this young man? Again, another young guy. Mountain of a young man. Former Clemson offensive tackle. His name is Zechariah Owens, not Zachariah. Zechariah. He's got, once he jumped in the transfer portal, everybody was offering 35 schools and counting. 6'6", 375 pounds. He's out of Covington, Georgia. Former 4-star, top 200 recruit. He played in 2 games as a true freshman for Clemson last year. He's in the portal. We'll see what happens. Again, if USC is tipping their hand, I don't think they want that 1-year rental at offensive tackle. It hasn't worked out for them. The 1-year rental at cornerback, it's worked out for them. Maybe they're turning the page. Maybe they're happy with the 4 guys they've got in the system. And now they're just looking to beef up with young guys. I'm all right with that. If that's the way they're going, unless you're going to find a 5-star guy out there, maybe you don't want to screw around with your offensive line room too much. Other guys out there that USC still needs, flip back to the defensive tackle. CJ West, he's still out there from from Kent State. Demonic Williams, he's still uncommitted. And then, look, there's still some big names who still have time to set the market price if they choose. I'm not saying I know anything, just there's smoke out there, right? We've all seen social media. We're all having fun with it. What happens if Mikael Williams, Christian Miller from Georgia, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Michigan, what if all 4 of those guys decide to roll? I'm just making conversation. That's all I'm doing. But if those 4 guys jump into the transfer portal the next month or so, I want to be those guys, right? They're going to be in for one hell of a party. They're going to get wine. They're going to get dined. I mean, free flights, 5-star hotel. Come play for me. And they're going to get offers that any college football player should just say, thank you very much. Yes, I'll take it. I mean, can you believe where we're at in college football today, where you have certain players, and again, I'm not saying they're going to do it, but there are certain players that can jump into the transfer portal and demand NFL type of signing bonuses. That's crazy. But that's where we're at in college football. I'm going to talk more about the transfer portal. We're going to talk about the USC men's basketball team. They've been really active. I've been told I'm a competitive person. Look, you all agree. You better agree. If you don't, I'll tell you why you better agree. Like I said, very competitive. All right, so my competitive side. Like it, love it. It's who I am. I also like Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly, where you're not just playing one game. You're playing hundreds of Monopoly games. Crazy locations, building up amazing cities, brings you big money. Best part, you can mess with your friends. That's what I like to do. I love messing with my friends. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. Again, you can team up with your friends, people all around the world, and you can get in these time tournaments and you can earn huge rewards. So get in the game. Join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or the Google Play. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And that all-in prices, that way you're going to get your total up front. You know what you're going to pay before you check out. And you can do that in a matter of seconds. In Game Time, they have deals right up to the last minute, right up to the second. Don't forget to get your tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. The men's basketball team, I said it before we went to the break there. They've been really active in the transfer portal. Coach Eric Musselman, yeah, all over the place. When he first got it started, look, I'll say it, started to look like kind of like an Ivy League roster. I was like, all right, I don't know where we're going to do, how good they're going to be in 2024, but things have picked up a little bit. He did lose another one. Brandon Gardner, he's expected to jump into the transfer portal. So Harrison Hornery, he's hanging on, right? But here is what the roster looks like so far. St. Thomas. Yes, that is his name. First name, Saint. Last name, Thomas. Northern Colorado, 6'7". He's bringing almost 20 points per game, 19.7. That's what he's bringing to the roster. So you got to score. He's also got Bryce Pope, 18 points per game from the University of California, San Diego. I mentioned the name Clark Satchert, 18 points from the University of Pennsylvania. Shooting guard. You've got Josh Cohen, center, 16 points from University of Massachusetts. Matt Nolan, Ivy League guy, 12 points from the University of Yale. Here's who he's added since Monday. Coach Muss has gone crazy. All right, you got commitments from Chibozo Agbo, Boise State, Rashawn Agee, Bowling Green, and then incoming freshman Isaiah Elohim, local product from Sierra Canyon. All right, first off, Agee, Big Ten body, big time, 13 points from Bowling Green. Chicago native, so again, he's from the area, Big Ten country, 6'8", 225 pounds. He can play, obviously he's going to play the 4. He can also play inside. He can bang down low. Last season, 13 points, almost 10 rebounds, 9.9. Made 57% of his shots. And he was 19th in the nation in with rebounds per game. That's huge because we know rebounding has been an issue for USC. Agbo, he joins the Trojans from Boise State. In his first 2 seasons, he was at Texas Tech. Again, another 6'7" guy, swing guy, so he can play that 2-3. Play either forward position as well, apparently. Almost 14 points per game, 13.7, 5 rebounds. And he's got that, he can shoot from the outside. Great percentage. 45% from the floor, 41% from 3, 72% from the free throw line. Again, a scorer. I mentioned Isaiah Elohim. Well, local product, Sierra Canyon. This is a big-time commitment. Andy Enfield wanted him to come to USC. Eric Musselman had him going to Arkansas. Well, he's coming back to LA. Good thing. Top 50 player. Yeah, you want that to stay in California. 6'5" wing guy. And he can get to the rim. Strong player. He needs to work on his outside shot. He's got some mid-range game to him. Other than that, right now, he's a guy who wants to get to the rim. So, USC, I think, has got, 10 guys on the roster. They got room for a couple more. We'll see what Coach Muss can do. He's getting that coaching staff put together as well. Wanted to drop that basketball note in here. I thought it was a perfect time since we're talking about the transfer portal. That's what that roster is going to be built on, the transfer portal around Harrison Hornery, assuming he stays. I think he's staying. I hope he stays. I like him. All right, that's another episode of Locked On USC in the books. I'll be back with another episode tomorrow. That's what we do 5 times a week. When you're done making Locked On USC your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Network, do me a favor. Head on over to wersc.com. There is a lot of written content for you over there. You're not a subscriber, spend $1. Become a subscriber. You'll appreciate it. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.